Hello there, and you are there, and I am here. This is Killin Time, and today I want to look at one particular piece of information shared by Miss Sandra Lean this time. We've been doing a lot on Mr. Forbes, and I will say, I know at time of recording, Mr. Forbes actually is just fresh off another podcast. I will probably talk about that at the end, but to be fair, it was a lot of the same in terms of what Mr. Forbes says. Very tempted to make a compilation of Mr. Forbes repeatedly saying the fool works, the fool works, the fool in every single conversation. That and the word listen, but that's probably more. That's just that's maybe just me being a bit more childish with that one. Anyway, so let's have a little look at the statement in question, or the statements in question, and we'll have a little discussion about that. And as I say, we might cover off Mr. Forbes at the end, who knows. Wasn't really that much to it. It was like a Subway sandwich, it's all bread, no filling. But here we go, let's have a look at these anyway.
But I remembered something that I thought might be significant, so I went back and had another look. Buried in the case files, there's a story about John Ferris on the moped heading along Lady Path. He met a young couple who know him. A young couple who are not Jodie and Luke. The couple were traced and confirmed seeing Ferris on the moped and speaking to him, but crucially they were unable to be precise about the time. Their statements don't say specifically that they came in from the East Houses road, but given the way they turned onto Lady Path, it seems fairly obvious that they did. It's interesting that they weren't just asked that outright so that it would be in their statements.
Before we move on to the next clip, let's summarise there. A couple met John Ferris, one of the what Luke's army calls the Moped Boys, using big bunny ears there, Moped Boys. He was met by a couple near Rowanstyke Path around about the time that Jodie Jones and Luke Mitchell would have been identified by Andrina Bryson. We're not sure what time it was because they couldn't clarify it, and we're not sure what direction they came from, but it does seem like they came from East Houses Road because of their statements. So let's look at the second clip of Ms. Lean, and before we do that, let's set you a wee challenge, guys. Listen out to what's been said and see if you can see what I'm going to talk about before I come back, and I'll do my best CBBC's presenter impression on the other side of this. Okay, here we go, second statement.
Well, there's a young couple in the files who got off the bus on the East Houses Road and walked down and into that lane and met John Ferris. So we know there was another couple in the area at roundabout taking the same route, essentially, that Jodie would have taken. They even knew about a sighting of these two people until trial. The first couple that I talked about were in the police files. The police knew about them and never looked at that as a possible explanation for the people that Andrina Bryson had seen.
Did you hear it? There you go, that's my little impression there. Did you? Did you hear it? Did you hear the difference there? So small, so minute, but backs up so many things that's claimed by Sandra Lean or Scott Forbes or anyone claiming Luke Mitchell's innocence. So in here we find out that the couple themselves came off a bus on East Houses Road. Now before, we couldn't guarantee any kind of time or what direction they came in from, came into the area, the path area from. Now we know they came off a bus on East Houses Road, because it was in the police files. It wasn't in the police files beforehand, the ones that Sandra looked into, but now suddenly they're coming off a bus. Because again, going back to I think what was episode 7 of Killin Time, building on the lie. The lie changing over time so that it's got a little bit more detail, seems a little bit more legitimate, and there's more story, more to it. So it's not just a case of, the wavy, we're not sure where they came from. We know they came off a bus now. Now, what time was the bus? Because if we don't know what time they came off at, buses run to certain timetables. So we must have a rough idea of when they travelled. And bus has CCTV. So we would probably be able to tell what bus they were on, what time they were on that bus. That's a bit of nonsense, isn't it? I know this is only one small point, and I really wanted to cover it here, but it's all again building on the lie. It's the idea that now people will say, this is fact, we know they came off a bus on East Houses Road. But a couple of months prior, or a little bit prior, obviously, Sandra Lean didn't know what area they came from. But she was looking in the files, because remember, she did have an inkling and she needed to go back and look in the files. There's another couple of things in terms of the overall conversation and what's been had here and what's been claimed. So, really, how to break this one down, because it's confusing to actually explain, or try and explain, because you just seem silly when you say it out loud. During the conversation the reply from Ms. Lean to a criminology video, a video that was done about her, the second clip in there, Pat Brown. So the reply to Pat, she says at one point, she makes a statement where she says Pat had accused her of saying that Jodie did not go to the top of the path, and the statement that Miss Lean makes after it is very strange, where she said she doesn't say that Jodie Jones didn't go to the path, but there is no evidence to say that she did. Now, that's the same thing, really. You're not saying she didn't, you're just saying there's no evidence. So that's the same thing. Can we just cover that off there? Because that is right away just silly. But there's an independent witness, according to Ms. Lean. In the same conversation, you can go back and watch this, guys. This is, as I say, Pat Brown's reply to Pat Brown's video about Ms. Lean, and the other one is one of her updates. I'll get the date for that, actually. I forgot to do that. I'll get the date and I'll kind of put that in. So, as I say, there's an independent witness that the people, both Ms. Lean and Mr. Forbes, talk about, that was able to identify Jodie Jones go on the road towards the path. So now that's evidence, surely. That's evidence that I don't understand how there's no evidence, but there's an independent witness. I want to talk about the independent witnesses in another video, purely because there's a lot of crossing of stories and mixing in of things to make it seem like that matches up with Scott Forbes' claims and just general confusion. But the reality is it's just melding stories together, like the knife that we covered, which I've got another thing to do about that. So as I said, what knife? There's 2 videos about knives. With this is, as I say, just adding a little bit to the story itself to make it seem a bit more legitimate. But at the end of the day, can I get a well, I don't know what the proper word for it is, a defence of this from anyone? Can you see why suddenly we didn't know where the couple came from, but now suddenly they came off a bus on East Houses Road? We didn't know that they came from East Houses Road. They weren't very sure what time it was, but they were on a timetabled, scheduled bus that came onto East Houses Road. Sorry guys, but this is just... If you still are on the side of defending this, then stop hate watching my videos and go and do something better with your life, because there's a lot healthier ways to hurt yourself. So, a lot less time consuming ways as well. But yeah, there's no defence for this. This is just more proof that the story keeps evolving and evolving and evolving. And we could say one thing as well. Let's talk about the couple very quickly. It's all fine and well saying that they're in the police records. It's all fine and well saying, you know, that we know what they came off a bus. But reality is, who are they? Because surely they would have came forward since then, just to say, yep, that's us. And I hate to hammer on this point, because I know Pat rounded it, and somehow there's an aversion to actually listening to the point itself. But none of these independent witnesses, none of these, the couple themselves, have come forward since, put their hands up and said, yes, that was me. At the end of the day, these people they're brave. Well, not brave. That's not even the word. You know, they're willing to speak to people about what they've seen, or, you know, but have Scott Forbes and Sandra Lean spoke to them, or are they just going by what was said in some police records? Regardless, none of these people have come forward, and that really does speak volumes. Why haven't any of these people come forward? The witness that saw the bike at the V, this couple here, the independent witness, the chippy. Who delivered the chippy? Come forward. These people don't exist at the end of the day. That otherwise you would have heard from at least one of these people. Come on, don't be silly. And especially even if, let's say, one of these people were absolutely lying and none of it was true, and they just told the police that, right? Let's just say that. They more than likely would want to tell a story so they could get something out of it, wouldn't they? So I don't believe any of these people truly exist, but the idea that there's no evidence whilst touting an independent witness who can, identify someone. But why is no one listening to that sentence? Because it's the same sentence where there's no evidence and then suddenly we have an independent witness. Regardless, sidetracked on all these points. These two were actually really good. I'll definitely make a point A. I think people should watch these videos, but I'll try and get a point A, what date that other one was released. Not some of them vanishing, to be honest with you. So I'll put that there and do with it what you will. So, what do you think, guys? Is there I've got other examples, but Kitty, to be proactive. Have you guys got any? Now, that's again what we'll say is those two clips want in total context. I'm going to do some shorts about some of this, no evidence, witnesses, everything else. But yeah, if you want to go back and see those, and what we'll do is we'll do a quick comment corner, and then I'll talk a little bit about the Scott Forbes interview yesterday. A couple of quick other things, and then we can wrap this up. Nice quick video today, like it. So comment corner today comes from a long-time follower and commenter, Attila. I've actually been on live chats for other YouTube channels with Attila on there as well, on a little chat idea. So it was on the last video that I made, titled "That's Not a Knife." I hope everybody got the reference, by the way. That comment that was made, he made a couple, like they, I don't know, he, she, they. Hello, Attila. The comment I thought was, yeah, exactly, you summed it up in a kind of sarcastic sentence. The video itself was talking about the fact that Luke Mitchell tried to replace the missing skunting blade that was missed. You can go back and watch it. Maybe linked at the end of this video if YouTube works that way. So the comment itself, because what any mother would do is buy a killer copycat accessories. Jeez, you're absolutely right, and I don't think there's a point made enough about this at all. The fact that whilst under suspicion over the death of his girlfriend, his mum thought it was quite fitting to go out and replace a missing knife, which police suspected could have been a murder weapon. Let's be honest. Take aside the accusations of trying to pervert the course of justice, and just really look at the action itself of going out and buying a knife for your son after everything that had happened. Baffling, absolutely baffling. I don't think any parent in their right mind would want to do that, jump into that. So that's just me personally. Other parents, you might think differently. Would you buy your kid a knife in the first place, let alone after his girlfriend had been murdered a couple of months beforehand, and he was under suspicion, so to speak. Again, it's just odd. But thank you for your comment, Taylor. Keep commenting. I've not been about, and thanks for your time as well. Let's do a quick chat about Scott Forbes' appearance on, not his physical appearance, but his appearance on that podcast, and I'll get those dates for you as well for the clips, just to kind of keep that in context. Before I go any further, and before I forget in general, because I tend to do that, the videos in question that I used here today, I won't link them below because enough people have been linking Sandra Lean's videos in my comments. The reply to Pat Brown's analysis, so that was on the 21st of May 2023. That's where we find out that the couple came off a bus on East Houses Road. However, we weren't aware of the direction they came in on an update that was supplied. So it's a Luke Mitchell case update October 22, and that was on the 30th of October 2022 that was posted. So between the October of 2022 and May of 2023, they'd suddenly found herself on a bus. Anyway, that's that over. Again, guys, know what you think about that. Had you noticed that before? And is there anything else you've noticed that's similar? Has the lie changed? Has it been built on and evolved? And things that you've noticed? I think I've pointed out a couple of them, to be honest with you, but there's another one, more to come. However, going on to the subject of Mr. Forbes and the appearance on podcast yesterday. Was it yesterday? Well, time of recording, I think it was yesterday. It would have been, yeah, absolutely, it would have been. Mr. Forbes, not really promoting his book or anything like that. Did speak about his book, obviously, a little bit, but was really off the back of Channel 5 replaying Murder in a Small Town, something featuring both Mr. Forbes and Miss Lean. So, Scott Forbes was on the Tweet Street Occupied Scotland. Gentleman does a host of different stuff. Done, I noticed a series on child abuse as well, but I'm interviewing a survivor of that, which I might look into more, to be honest with you. It looked quite interesting. But however, the as I say, the appearance itself was very much of muchness. It was the same phrases and words in terms of, as I say, the full works. Luke was given the full works. A lot of the same kind of that you get, and as I say, a lot have been told to listen. But on the whole, nothing really there. Now, he did actually speak about the knife, which I covered in my last video. Didn't make the same claims that the police had it in their possession, though. That was absent from his chat, but let's say he might have forgot about it. But for reference, I want to put up, see, a little admittance here, I used as, and I will stick by my words, in the last video, I put up a skunting blade for reference. However, it wasn't the blade that was used. So what I'll do is supply a picture of the missing knife that was used in evidence in court. That's what that looks like. Again, you'll see it's totally different from a penknife. Absolutely different from a penknife. A Swiss Army knife. Penknife and Swiss Army knife as well. You get different kinds of penknife. I'm not getting into that anyway. That was another video. I'm not getting back onto that. Leave it. As I say, so that's the reference for that. But in terms of other things that was said, really there wasn't anything that I could grasp in terms of new knowledge. There was a lot of promises about, this and that, and comparing other cases, but on the whole, nothing new. There was a couple of things that got me, open-mouthed. Luke Mitchell was treated worse than Putin, which is a statement. I don't know where to take that one. I mean, Luke Mitchell was treated worse than Putin. So, first of all, in what way? Because that, just explain that a little bit better. Explain that a wee bit better. But secondly, so Putin wasn't treated fairly? Putin's a good guy? But that came 15 seconds or so after saying that masks done nothing during COVID. So there was just a breakdown. It was like that B movie that has no real plot, and then at the end there's just this crazy ending that you're like, what happened? Where did that? So that's kind of how it ended for me, because everything else was knocked out my head after those statements quickly in a row. I'll go back and watch it again, but as I say, I don't think, if you guys saw anything in it, put it in the comments obviously, but I probably will go back even for short purposes, let's be honest. But I thought it was a lot more subdued in a sense. There was the same accusations thrown out, but there was... What happened, guys, to the two police officers that were related to the Jones family that worked in Dalkeith police station? Where did they go? Because they were in all the podcasts for a bit, and they were talked about online for a little bit. I made a couple of posts on Twitter about it, about how some people believe they were cousins and then they were brothers and everything else, but they're gone now. There's no conspiracy there, because apparently there's no claim by Mr. Forbes or anyone else that they exist anymore. Now, James Matthews, the Sky TV presenter, was related to a community policeman, and he was coached by him before doing an interview with Luke Mitchell. Gonna look into a bit of that one as well. Everyone's related, everyone's in on it. The lizard people again. So, what do you guys think? Or did you guys think of the interview itself? Is there anything you would point out? I really can't think of anything myself, guys. I thought it was a bit meh, bit bland, bit blech. Yeah, that's about it. Let's do some quick admin. We'll wrap all this up. But guys, remember, leave your comments, leave your sarcastic thumbs up. Let me know what you think about the two statements here. And again, if you've got any examples, I'll see you on the other side for some wrap-up. Thank you very much for listening, guys. As always, we are on Facebook and Twitter at What They Found. Come along and give us a follow, a little like. Leave your sarcastic thumbs up and your comments. Like Attila, you might be on the comment corner, or if I've got time, I might reply in the comment section itself. But as I say, leave your comments. Do not be a Derek. Don't be a Derek. Thank you very much for seeing some people sharing the videos. I saw Luke's Army sharing particular parts of my videos that we found interesting, but there we go. How do you feel about this video, guys? Is it okay just on one particular little point? I'll be honest, I could go 100 miles a minute on a lot of the issues I see in what's been claimed, but I think if I was to do that, we'd lose a lot of the points themselves, and it would only be 2 or 3 that were really taken in. So tell me what you think, guys, and if there's other examples you can think of. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.